We will never be able to solve all the other problems, including the violence problems that people are worried about, if we can't have a clash of ideas safely and securely. Even, especially those ideas with which you disagree.
Welcome back. The killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk on a Utah campus has reignited both the fears and the conversation about safety for lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, especially as many prepare to hit the campaign trail ahead of next year's midterms. Republican Congressman James Comer told NBC News today that having a suspect in custody has eased those fears just a bit.
I think everyone feels a lot safer in Congress. There was a lot of anxiety yesterday when the shooter obviously was on the run, and many of us do a lot of outdoor events, so that's something that I think today, this morning, the apprehension of the suspect will ease a lot of nerves in Congress.
Are you going to keep doing outdoor events, or how do you feel about your own security, even though he was apprehended? Well,
I mean, we're all concerned right now, and I think we all know that the political temperature in America is too high.
Joining me now from Capitol Hill is NBC's Mel Zanona, and NBC's Vaughn Hillyard is at the White House. Mel, let me start with you. We heard from Congressman Comer there that people feel safer. He also talked about the fact that lawmakers are rattled. Take us inside your conversations. What are people telling you?
Yeah, there is a slight sense of relief now that the suspect is in custody. I think there were some Republicans, especially those who share the viewpoints of Charlie Kirk or similar to him in their ideology, who were especially worried that if the shooter was still on the loose, that maybe he was going to come try to target them. So that was really adding to the feelings of anxiety and uneasiness on Capitol Hill. But those general fears, Kristen, about political violence still very much remain on Capitol Hill. And even in the wake of the suspect being apprehended, there's still a lot of heated rhetoric online. There are some far corners of the internet calling for retaliation and retribution. Emotions are still running high. And so as a result, lawmakers are changing their behavior. They have been for quite some time as the threats of political violence have been on the rise. But we're hearing lawmakers are canceling events. They're moving outdoor events indoors, Some of them even want to carry guns now. So clearly this shooting going to have really long-lasting impacts on Capitol Hill, on the campaign trail, and throughout the entire country.
Well, just to follow up on that, are there actual plans or discussions about trying to increase security for members in the wake of this shooting? I spoke to Senator Mark Wayne Mullen yesterday. He said, sounds like a good idea. The challenge is it's incredibly complicated and expensive.
That's exactly right. That's what they have been wrestling with on Capitol Hill for a long time, is about how to address this, right? So there are some active discussions right now between the leadership and the Sergeant-at-Arms about potential security upgrades. But throwing more money at the problem also isn't necessarily going to solve it. Mike Johnson even said yesterday that just the idea of providing a security detail to every single member of Congress would require billions of dollars and also hiring 5,000 more police officers. They already struggle to attract police officers and to hire people. So even if they had this huge pot of money, it's not necessarily a slam dunk that they would be able to hire everyone. So those are the kinds of questions they're dealing with and wrestling with and have been for a long time. I will tell you, though, that one of the things that they have proposed is more money for home upgrades and hiring private security. There was a pilot program launched this summer that does expire at the end of this month, so perhaps they will extend that, but I'm sure these conversations will heat up when Congress returns next week, Kristen.
All right, Mel Zanona, thank you so much, as always, and all week long for your reporting from Capitol Hill on a really somber week. Vaughn Hillyard, let me turn to you at the White House. There's been a lot of discussion about tone. We heard from Governor Spencer Cox, who is urging all leaders to tune down and turn down the heated rhetoric. We also heard a different message from President Trump, pointing the finger at the left. What are you hearing from your sources inside the White House? Do you anticipate that we'll continue to hear that type of message coming from the commander-in-chief?
Right. Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, had suggested on a radio program that they were going to look at ways to combat political violence. And we know that there have been a great many across this administration that have called for Charlie Kirk to be honored through vigil and prayer and to be recognized for the life that he lived. At the same time, the President of the United States this morning, over that course of that hour, he was directly asked about political radicalism on the right and left, and he said that it was the radical left that was the problem here in the country. And when asked whether he would tell folks that revenge is not the answer, he said the revenge for Charlie Kirk's death would be at the ballot box. And yet, though, at the same time, in the next breath, he suggested and questioned whether the ballot box could be trusted because previous elections had been rigged. And so you heard two different messages, you could say, between the Republican governor of Utah and the president here today. Understandably, the anger coming out of the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the impact and friendship that he had on their lives. At the same time, there's a lot of questions here. In the days ahead, we know that another friend of Charlie Kirk's, Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, here today, in new reporting from our colleagues Courtney Cubie and Carol Lee, say that the Secretary of Defense, as well as other officials at the Pentagon, have ordered servicemen and women to report others within the military who mock or condone or express a lack of empathy or complete apathy for the passing of Charlie Kirk. The sources tell Carol and Courtney that at least several officials have been removed from the military as a result of the post that they had shared online related to Charlie Kirk's passing.
Wow. Let me ask you, because of course, in the early hours of this investigation, FBI Director Kash Patel had posted that they had caught the suspect. He then retracted that statement. Do we know what the president thinks about his handling of this matter so far?
Right. At this point in time, we heard from the president here early this morning acknowledge Attorney General Pam Bondi. She joined him in New York, where the president here remains. But as it goes for Kash Patel as FBI director and Dan Bongino, the number 2 at the FBI, both men going there to Utah, they both considered Charlie Kirk to be close friends as well. We did not hear him specifically comment on Kash Patel and his future at the FBI. At the same time, the White House did put a statement in which they said Director Patel is working night and day on this case. Anyone who doubts his resolve and dedication, especially when Charlie was such a close friend to him, simply is using this extremely sad moment in disgusting act of political gamemanship. The focus is justice, and this killer will face the full wrath of the justice system. That statement from the White House. Kristen.
Vaughn Hillyard covering a lot of ground for us on this Friday. Vaughn, thank you so much for your reporting. We really appreciate it.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.